I don't know what I'm doing. Shit, this is not good. Today I will teach you how to hand brush using acrylic paint because this mobile suit needs love it deserves. Because Gundam Seed, especially Gundam Seed Destiny, is the best Gundam series ever. Hail Gundam Seed! Hail Lord Kira Yamato! I want to make this tutorial as short as possible. But if I did, you would be missing a lot of important stuff about painting with brush. So this is going to be a slightly long video. But I guarantee that every minute of it will be used to you. All you have prepared is acrylic paint, brushes of various size from wide to small, a marker of your choice, an acrylic remover in case you will make mistake, a paint palette, and of course some water to clean up your dirty brush. Before starting to paint, you need to make a plan about what colors you will use on your gunpla. The first thing you need to pay attention is the base color of the part. If the base color of the part is white or a light color, you can just paint any color on it. However, if the basic color of the part is dark color like blue, black, red, and others, you need to make the part color lighter first. Here we will paint with a primer. The function of primer is to cover the base color of the part so that it will be easier to apply a lighter color on it. If you do the painting without primer, the result color will not be what you want. You will not get perfect white on red part. If in one part there is already an appropriate color, you don't need to give a primer. This can be overcome by masking the color. But because I'm lazy to do masking and I believe in my genius and talent, so I choose to repaint all parts with dark base color. Don't forget to remove the knob mark on your gunpla. You can see how the link in the description below. Do you know why the name is knob mark? Noob comes from the word newbie. So if gunpla still has the noob mark, it is a sign that you are a newbie. Just kidding. Let's keep going. I have separated the parts that will be painted with primer. When choosing a primer, make sure that the primer has fine particle and a light color. I found my favorite, which is the Deton primer. Why I'm using spray can paint? Because if you choose to paint gunpla with hand brush, I assume you don't have airbrush, right? Don't forget to shake the can first until the paint are mixed well. And remember to pay attention to your safety because primer is a lacquer base, which is very dangerous for health. Always wear a mask and choose a place with a good ventilation. For how to paint, first, never stay in the same position. Second, press the nozzle before the paint hits the part and release the nozzle after the paint reaches past the part. Third, apply a thin layer of the first spray and let it dry. This is useful for protecting gunpla from damage due to the harsh nature of the lacquer paint. If it immediately gives a thick layer, the part can melt. This is not too significant, but it will appear like wrinkles which make your part become ugly. Finally, pay attention to the spray distance. Too close, you will get a paint that is too thick. Too far, you will get a rough paint result. Don't imitate me who immediately spray with a thick layer. I'm just lazy. Just continue. The acrylic paint that I will use is the Brush Master from Anaheim Paint. This is an Indonesian product. If you don't have one in your place, you can also use Vallejo paint or anything specifically designed for painting with a brush. If you find it difficult to get a special paint for a brush, you can make the paint by yourself, even though the result won't be optimal. What must be considered is the thickness of the paint. If it's too thin, the paint will not stay in place and more layer will be needed to completely cover the part. Make the pen as thin as possible and thicken it little by little until the brush pen is stay in the place. If you make the pen too thick, it will be easier to cover the original color, but it will produce a rough finish because the brush mark will be visible. I will give an example with this part. Before painting, I give a line with marker as a color border. Psychologically, this makes it easier for me to be tidier in painting. This stage is optional, not mandatory. Do as you please. Now let's brush our Gunpla. On the first layer, you will not get a solid color result and even color distribution. No need to worry because the maximum result will be obtained after several layers of paint. Try to use a brush with a soft tip for better result. Don't forget to clean your brush every time you change the color. Wait for it to dry for about 30 minutes while you can paint another part. If you want it dry quickly, you can heat it with hair dryer. This is what it looks like after the first layer dry. As I said before, you won't get a solid color, so proceed to the next layer. This is why I have hand brush method. You need to be patient, have steady hand. I'm not that good. Remember to brush all over the surface you want to give color. Don't miss any surface of the part. Now wait again until the second layer dry. And this is what it looks like when the second layer dry. Pay attention to whether the color is solid, whether the color is even. If you are not satisfied, then continue with the next layer. A little tip from me, for the last coat, dilute your paint a little. It will give a smoother finish. And this is the end result. I didn't think I was that good. You know, genius, magnificent. For brush method on a wider surface, do a long soft brush for a better result. Don't do the small brush over and over in one place. Why do I brush it on my finger? If an unprimer part goes wrong, just clean the excess paint by scratching using a hobby knife. If an error occurs on a part that is primer, do not use a knife, or the primer will be also removed, or using an acrylic cleaner. There are also a few things you should know about the basic of painting. Always start with the lightest color and move on to the darker color. In hand brush painting, if you follow this method, you only need to pay attention so your paint doesn't mess the lighter color part of the paint. Because the messy paint on the darker part can be covered by the darker color. But if you do a random sequence of colors, you have to concentrate so that your brush doesn't make any mistakes at all. This method is useful on the surface of small parts and consists of several colors. Look at this example. I give the final step black color, the blue paint which has a lighter color. Although blue is a mess, it can be completely covered by the darker paint. To be more safe, you can paint the edge bordering other color first, then continue to the middle. And don't worry too much if your paint result on the color border isn't too neat. I call this the marker trick. You just need to line the border of the color, as well as do the stage of drawing panel lines. Neat. I give more example on smaller parts and more color. Wow, magic. and this is the final result. Now that Aile Strike has got the love it deserves, Lord Kira Yamato will be very pleased. Hail Gundam Seed! Hail Gundam Seed Destiny! Hail Lord Kira Yamato! After you watch this video, please try it by yourself, because no matter how much knowledge you have, no matter expensive tools you have, if you never try, everything will be useless. Goodbye, and we will meet again in my next video. Alice greeting.